And I am your host, Nada Milkovich, here at KZSC Santa Cruz, the greatest college radio station in the world. Adam Lipsky is here in the studio right now. Adam, thank you so much for coming up.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Nada. Thank you.
Adam Lipsky, he's here to talk about the upcoming presentations by Ouroboros Shadow Pictures called Vasilisa. This is a Baba Yaga inspired story. Would you mind just giving us a little synopsis of the classic Baba Yaga story?
Yeah. The one in particular that we're basing this off of is where Vasilisa, this young girl, her parents die, and her father before he dies, marries an evil stepmother, and the stepmother sends her into the woods to Baba Yaga's house to get a flame. Vasilisa fears for her life and thinks she's going to be eaten. But
because this is what Baba Yaga does.
This is what Baba Yaga does.
She likes to eat children.
She eats children. That because Vasilisa is pure of heart, that Baba Yaga cannot touch her. And she gets away and she goes home. And the way we are bringing this story is that over the course of the show, they're coming together and both are becoming one. On the one hand, Vasilisa is becoming less good, less so pure, and the witch is becoming less evil in this way. And they're both coming together and really becoming the same person.
Okay, so let's just talk about that for a second. So it's a shadow picture show.
The important thing to understand about this show is that it's not a puppet show. That we've been calling it a shadow picture show because it has much more likeness to film.
This is by far the largest thing we've tried to do to date.
Last week, we released a pretty epic podcast, so we're going to keep it a little simpler this week. We're currently in Victoria, BC. So we're going to start with Adam Lipsky here. Can you tell us a bit more about your project?
Yeah, absolutely.
All this is yours.
Me and Elisa Javitsu sitting right next to me here. We had been doing shadow pictures, shadow stuff at all for about a year at this point now. So we were doing very small scale things. The pieces we had done before this had been much more abstract.
And as far as this set, is this something that you guys put together once you arrived here in Victoria?
Yeah, we traveled here with all the gear, so this is all been designed to travel with us. So it's the screen is 10 feet tall, 20 feet wide, and then there's a similar rig in the back is 2 poles that have a rope going across them, which are used to hold up a lot of the shadow props. Then I run around with a bunch of lights navigating around the props and the dancers. Yeah, I'm swapping things out, and then I also preset a lot of the set backstage, so there are props and things kind of hung up in a certain order, and I sort of move between them. April, May, June, July, August, 5 months.
5 months. We'd had the idea before that, but we only started trying to get our rehearsals together.
I think we were rehearsing in March.
Maybe in March, but it
just barely.
It started that we got everyone together, and we were kind of like, we had the idea together, but we didn't have the structure or the script together.
If they could see you, you must be satisfied. The season is burning.
Sounds good coming out of here. I just wondered. Yeah.
The music element, live music, myself and Max Judelson right here, he is a upright bass player, and I do keyboards. These two ladies right next to me, Marley and Courtney, they are dancers, and it's a large part of the piece we have going now. They're kind of the central part, and the characters.
Right, this is our first time working with dancers at all. We would say, give them points of emotion or storytelling that we wanted to sort of come across, and they would run with that. And so we started working the piece out just by having workshop brief practice sessions over at the San Francisco Dance Conservatory. And we would bring our whole rig over there and just kind of throw ideas out.
Shadows as a dimension in dance is totally new for me. To play with how your shadows can actually become one and then split again. These tricks of like, we do some things where our hands go to touch, but behind the screen we have 4 feet between us.
And I think the forest having the effect of actual plant material and the dancers being mixed up in it.
And the music is, for those segments, is I think some of the strongest as far as melding well together. Max uses a loop pedal to loop this one bass part, and then I do this kind of twangy, sustained part that doesn't really resolve on the keyboard. And on top of that, he is playing these bowed lines that are more drawn out. So we have a very rhythmic thing on the loop pedal, a more kind of sparse, unresolving thing on the keyboard, and then these long tones on the bass.
There's a lot of variety in the material. I think people expect it to be a cutout cardboard puppet. A lot of the materials aren't that, and getting the 3D effect often comes from actually just using a three-dimensional object that represents what you're trying to use. Like when she enters the witch's house, and that's got the 3D kind of effect of the intricately cut out walls, and it's creating the feeling like you're using a camera zooming in through the rooms and looking out the windows and at the details on the walls. There are piles of bones and antlers and skulls and some plant life, and that's kind of just to represent and touch on Baba Yaga being a symbol of natural power.
The first time we come across Baba Yaga, she's a big blob of the two of us under a larger sheet, and then she sort of develops from there into Marley by herself with the sheet over her head. She's a sort of ambiguous, dark creature with her hands as the only articulate part of her body, really.
I know about you. Yes, I know you well.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is when the girl has gone to sleep and she's sort of falling asleep and transcending into that dream space, and they do some beautiful movement while laying flat, and then I'm moving around this kind of abstracted sky and space over them. The piece of plastic is flat and I shine the light onto it, and then the light bounces off of the wrinkled plastic onto the screen, and it's those wrinkles and scratches that are actually reflecting onto it. And actually when it just opens up and closes down on them is my favorite part, as it sort of becomes more intricate and dark and they get tucked in by the light.
This looks beautiful. The images that I've seen are beautiful, and I want to thank you for coming up.
Thank you so much.
She tried
It's something, you know. It's hard to tell what it is, and it's been really interesting getting people's responses. People have been very receptive here. Hopefully, thank you so much for coming, and hopefully,